Yes,
Yes.
live. We live out here.
We're live.
We live. It's live. 0 viewers.
Oh no.
Oh
Oh
no.
no. We fell
Oh
off.
no.
We fell off.
We're
We're
washed up.
washed. We're dusty. We sold 2,000 copies first week.
Oh, 3.
Oh,
We see you. Hey,
let's
get in
go.
the comment if you're here.
Yeah, comment if you're here. Bring a friend. Tell your friends.
Bring a
Or
relative.
Bring a relative. Bring your dog. Bring your cat. Bring all the people. All the Seahawks fans. All the non-Seahawks fans too. Bring people who just absolutely despise football. They despise football. This is a great place for them. Because this past Sunday made me despise football.
Oh, it was bad. It was bad.
It was bad.
In terms of football, or
football,
jogo de foot, the footy, the soccer.
Soccer.
How about those? How about us? I mean, the US.
Us.
How about it?
Us. Cool. They did that football.
They did it. They did it real good. Oh, they got it right up in that net.
So, I've been barely watching the World Cup. I've watched like very little of it. So now that England and US advance, when's the next time?
Advance. I love it.
Yeah.
Now they've qualified. Yes.
Yeah. So
Advance.
when's the when's the next chance for those two sides to play one another?
You know what? It could be the final. Now there's different machinations at play. Okay. But I think it is the final.
Also, Zappa and Kyle saying what's up in the chat. What's up, guys?
Hi, Zappa and Kyle.
Hi. Okay, so is it now like single match elimination from here on out? Like you lose, you're done? Or is there still more like okay.
There's no losers bracket.
There's no losers bracket.
March Madness.
There's no losers. Well, there's no losers bracket in that either.
Oh, right.
You dummy. You fool.
All I know about March Madness is sometimes it's really good, but then sometimes like the favorite wins.
So I'm actually going to be in Vegas for March Madness this time around, which is dangerous. That's
I mean, it's dangerous from a gambling perspective.
Yeah.
It's not actually in Vegas.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
But yeah, so
are you the kind of guy who you just taught yourself into a flutter?
I've tried not to. Not to. Yeah. I have played a little DraftKings though, and then failed. Not sponsored.
And also, I prefer Underdog Fantasy. I just
That's true. Yeah. You're an underdog fellow. We all know. You guys should, by the way, go to the Underdog Fantasy YouTube account and watch some Matty F. Brown videos. Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge.
Yes, you should. Yeah, and drop a like while you're there as well.
But yeah, so I played on some daily fantasy sports apps, unnamed
DFS.
Unnamed DFS apps, and during the NBA bubble, and that was fun. But
right,
I haven't.
Down bad, huh? Pandemic blues.
Yeah.
We have a thing called DFS here. It sells sofas, which for you that would be a couch, Ty.
What does it stand for? Daily fantasy sofas?
No, it stands for dirt freaking cheap sofas, I think. No, I don't think they're all cheap, but I do believe you can get a deal there. I don't know. My favorite hobby at the moment is like going and sitting on a sofa that I can't afford.
That's great.
It's really good. Like nice greens, sort of emerald colors. Wouldn't match the room. Can't afford it. Yeah. It's fun. Like, like the video, and then I can buy a sofa I can't afford.
There you go. Donate to us.
Yeah.
Support the channel. Support the podcast. So Matty can buy the sofa of his dreams at
Emerald
DFS.
Green.
Yeah, emerald green sofa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should we start the podcast?
I'm ready when you are.
Have we tweeted that we're? Oh, is that bad? Okay, I will tweet that we're
tweet.
live.
Okay.
We are live now. Wow.
I'm a bad producer.
No, I mean if you're saying that, but like I wouldn't go that far.
All right, thanks.
But it's
Thanks,
good
pal.
to hold yourself accountable, you know.
It's
If
true.
not your
Yeah,
friends, then yourself.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
You know, I always got me.
I always got me. Okay, right. Let's go. Welcome to the Seattle Overload podcast, where it is time for our weekly news roundup. That is week 13 with Matty. That's me and Ty. Ty, what's up?
That's me.
Have you got over Sunday yet?
No, I'm still salty. I'm still really salty, but I think there are bigger and better days ahead for the Seahawks. We'll talk a little bit about that over the course of today's show. We're also going to be talking about a certain first round pick that used to belong to one team, but now belongs to another team, and is starting to look a little bit better and better by the week. And we're also going to talk about some injuries and stuff like that. So, yeah. Hi, Manny.
Oh,
How are you?
you kind of ended that on a downer. Injuries.
Well,
although
they most of them do help the Seahawks, so it's actually not really on a downer. It's actually we're things are looking on the up and up. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But how are you doing, Maddie? Have you gotten over Sunday? How are you feeling?
No, I have not got over Sunday.
Can't blame you.
I saw Pete Carroll in his press conference was asked about whether it was a legal man downfield, and he shook his head and then said he didn't comment on it. But so that's upsetting. Like that was a kind of BS penalty, and obviously Seattle fitting the run so badly, that's still great. And even Pete was saying how like he was really upset that basically in back-to-back weeks they lost, or back-to-back games they lost in the same manner. He said he had a real problem with that, which is good because we had a real problem with that. But anyway, we will move on from that game, although we will talk about that game in this podcast and tomorrow. But some positive news, Ty. The Seahawks, in the midst of Sunday's madness, I think perhaps for the fan game day experience, they announced on the big screens at Lumen Field that the Seahawks are launching throwback uniforms.
Let's go.
Much
finally.
Hyped, much theorized. I was dissecting the Sound of the Seahawks off-season footage where they had a throwback kind of looking wall in there, and why would they do that? And throwback colored cleats from some of the players, and like Quandre Diggs had some clean kind of throwback cleats in the preseason. All of this stuff, and finally they're doing it, which I think is because the NFL changed the rule, the helmets, where they used to, for safety purposes, only allow one helmet, so you could change the stickers on it. But obviously, the Seahawks used to have silver helmets. How can you change from navy to silver? Well, that's pretty complicated for a sticker. But now they've changed that rule where you can have multiple helmets in the season, or two helmets, or just get a new helmet for that game. And silver helmets. And it was a cool video, like a lot of history of the team in there. And it'll be interesting to see how Nike does it, because I'm hoping they kind of, like, they should be able to keep it exactly the same. Like, there's no reason they can't, like with what the Packers kind of do, where they've got kind of a OG kind of style. Like, I'm hoping that Seattle keeps it the same. But
yeah,
awesome stuff, and it will look clean, right?
Yeah, it should look dope. I'm interested to see what they do with the helmet exactly. Are they going to do just straight up the old school, just matte silver helmet, or are we going to get maybe the feather accents that they have in the current jerseys and helmets? Is that going to be a part of the helmet? So that'll be interesting.
They use the old bird logo in the video as well. So that would imply they're going to stick kind of old school with it. But I don't know. It's a good question. And I think they were planning to do it this year, like the Eagles were as well with their Kelly Green style. But there were supply issues from COVID and like a carryover from whatever factory Nike uses to make these. And
I think I forget who it was. Some higher up from the Seahawks earlier on in the year was saying like, we're gonna. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And yeah, Chuck Arnold. Yeah, it was Chuck Arnold. Yeah, and so
Arnold, not Warner.
Warner. Oh, did you say
Really?
Warner? I
I
thought you
did.
said Arnold. I
Who
thought
is
you said
Chuck Warner?
I don't know. You're combining Kurt Warner and Chuck Arnold, I guess. I don't know what you're doing. But yeah, Chuck Arnold was saying that the they were going to do them in 2023. So this wasn't like a major surprise, I guess, but it's cool to get confirmation that it's happening. Um, because I like those uniforms. I know there's some people that don't, but I like those uniforms a lot. I like the old school look of a lot of teams, especially like late 80s, early 90s looks for teams. I think those are really cool. So I'm glad that the Seahawks are kind of jumping on this trend a little bit here and taking advantage of the new helmet rule to do this, because like there's a bunch of different things that they could do right with the new helmet rule. Like they didn't necessarily have to do this. They could have done the 2000s uniforms, which
Oh,
yeah.
that
They
would be
could have
bad.
they could have done like a black uniform with like a black helmet like Bobby wanted. Um, they could have
That
maybe
would be
done just
bad.
they could have just done like an action green helmet or something like that to go with the action green jersey. So there's like there were a bunch of ways that they could have gone about it. I think they chose the right way though with this, and so I'm looking forward to seeing what they look like. But yeah, I think because we saw the old Seahawk logo, it's probably just going to be straightforward, just a one for one recreation with maybe just like some minor tweaks.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you could modernize the logo, and I think it would work, but probably best if it's a throwback, just to keep it as it was, and it will look clean. And they can, rather than the Lions putting their stink on blue and silver, the Seahawks can perhaps restore that colorway into being actually good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who do you think is going to rock it the best?
Well, that's a good question. I
Because we've
think
seen a
I
lot of
think
jersey swaps
DK,
on. Yeah, DK,
Gino.
Gino. Yeah, I think Jamal.
Yeah,
Jamal.
with the white wristband,
Yeah, with
maybe.
the right. Yeah, if he goes with like all white wristbands, yeah, that'll look pretty fresh.
There we go. And the one thing as well is I hope it doesn't replace the wolf grey look, because
Mhm.
the wolf grey was cool, but I don't know. Like, I don't really get why the NFL limits how many different colorways you can wear in a season, or if
Yeah.
they do they even.
I don't know. I think they do in the playoffs, but also the Rams got an exception for the Super Bowl to wear the
Of
white
course they did.
alternates.
Of
Yeah, so
course.
yeah. Because they're from the NFC West and they're dirty, filthy cheaters,
Yeah,
obviously.
and the NFL lives right next to them, and it's
Yeah.
it's it's unacceptable.
I'm mad.
Mm.
uh so yeah. I don't know. Well, the Seahawks, I mean, like they kind of have a home alternate, which is the action green, but they've also worn those on the road. So like they kind of need like a home alternate, which these I assume would be like I don't like are they gonna get are they gonna get white ones as well? Because like the Dolphins have both for their
Yeah, surely. I
throwbacks.
mean, I don't know if the white ones are needed, are they?
Not really. Like unless they're going to eventually transition into those colors again, that colorway again, and they're like trying to do kind of what the Rams did,
I mean, the white
where
ones are clean with the blue, and I'm a sucker for a white jersey, white
yeah.
shirt in like soccer as well. Always looks nice, and the blue and the green stripe on the.
And I'm very minimalistic. Like I like very minimalist designs with football jerseys. So like I would be all about it.
Boring,
Whatever.
boring.
Whatever.
They should put an action green splash down the middle of it.
Just a splash of paint, like just like
Yeah.
someone threw some paint on it. All right.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
every jersey is unique in that, like,
Mhm.
it's just one guy or girl or person in a factory just
Yeah.
doing it, different techniques each time.
All right.
You get
I
one of a
like it.
kind when you buy it.
Mm-hmm.
There
All
we
right.
go.
There you
It's
go.
tie it's tie-dye.
Tie-dye. Yeah, why
Tie-dye.
hasn't anyone done tie-dye jerseys
There's
before?
probably a really good reason for that.
Probably.
In
But
soccer they do, and they use that marketing that the jersey you're going to buy is like completely unique because it's tie-dye. Like
well, there you go.
Tottenham Hotspur, they have a sort of tie-dye kind of thing going on.
There you go. Is that the team that Harry Kane is on?
It is, but to keep this to an NFL
club, brother.
yes, club. Thank you, Ty. That was very triggering. To keep this to an NFL slant, that is the team who obviously host they have the stadium where they slide out the turf and they host the NFL games. Anyway, Ty, that's the throwbacks addressed. And obviously, everyone must buy a Geno Smith throwback.
Yes.
I'm
going to add it to my home Geno Smith jersey that I got as well.
Yeah, Ty.
I'm just gonna have a collect. I'm gonna just have a collection of Geno jerseys by the end of this.
There we go. Or there's something nice about a white block number, I should also say.
Yeah.
Just a block.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
or like a blue block on a white jersey, because I really love the Dodgers jerseys. Those are my favorite baseball jerseys. So
oh no,
why?
Because they kind of look like a cop. Not there's anything wrong with cops, but it looks a bit coppy.
I mean
yeah, just down the middle, down the middle.
Yeah. We're on the Seattle.
We don't want to alienate the
those...
upcoming sponsorship from the Seattle Police Department. SPG.
Yeah. All right. So before we get canceled, see, I told you we were going to run that risk at some point on the show, and you were like, "How could you get canceled talking about the Seahawks?" Well, here's how, Matthew. Yeah, but I don't know. I think that would look good if they did the white jerseys as well, along with the blues, just to wrap. It would,
but then how many jerseys are we talking about here?
I want all the jerseys. Why not all the jerseys? Why not all the uniforms?
When I was in Germany, they had the German Seahawkers, the German Seahawks fan club, who kindly invited me to their party where I had lots of fun and a bit of beer. One of their leader, their chairman, Felix, he had a Seahawks jersey, but in German colors. So it was white with black and yellow and red, the German flag, like in the blocks, and it actually looked really clean. Like really, I think that template that Nike brought out. I mean, we're talking about the 2000s and how dreadful that was. The rebrand the Seahawks did, they knocked it out of the park. And like, if they wanted to, why don't make like a rainbow jersey? That would look awesome. But I think the NFL would perhaps limit it. But the German one was very cool. I was like, who made that? And I think some guy in Seattle like custom did it, but it looked really good. It didn't look like one of these. Didn't look like one of those. DHgate, Alibaba.
Yeah. AliExpress.
Where you can tell it's fake. Yeah, which is fine. Like if that's your thing, that's fine. But also, this one looked authentically clean.
That's so.
And I wanted one, but they didn't want to give me one of the 5 which had been made. Disgusting.
Well, Seahawks, you hear us. You're listening right now, obviously. Make a German centric jersey. Make a rainbow jersey. I'm down.
Yeah, do it.
Let's do it.
Do it.
All right. What else we got? What else are we talking about?
Well, the Seahawks had a slight need at safety. The strong safety position more than the kind of free safety position. And I won't get into strong and free safeties and why they're called that again. But they have a need there because Ryan Neal badly bruised his elbow. Now, it looked worse on the day. On Monday, Carroll said, he should be good to go at the weekend. Or they think he might be able to. And then on Wednesday, Carroll sounded similarly positive, like he's making good progress. Nevertheless, Seattle, they have Josh Jones in reserve. Jones took a bad angle on that 86-yard Josh Jacobs run. And I think maybe he's starting to run out of chances. But also, behind Josh Jones in terms of the strong, as in, Seattle's playing more two high coverages, but you kind of need someone who's a bit more comfortable in the box. In terms of the strong, there's Josh Jones, and then there is no one.
Yeah.
There's Joey Blunt, who's more of a free. He's more of a Quandre Diggs mirror. But they're obviously with Jamal Adams getting injured at the start of the year in really tragic circumstances. They're lacking that kind of box hitter. And so Seattle signed Ty, former first round pick of the Oakland Raiders at the time, Jonathan Abram, who went to Mississippi State. I think he came out in 2019. And so
it was whatever year they were on Hard Knocks, because I remember he was kind of a big part of Hard Knocks that season.
He was. Yes, it was 2019 he was drafted, and he's had a kind of down career. I don't think he's been helped by the fact that Oakland's been through multiple defenses, multiple head coaches now. He landed for a very brief time with the Green Bay Packers. He was released, and Seattle's claimed him off waivers. They've been trying to get a bit active to upgrade their depth in different areas. And so my take on Abrams coming out of Mississippi State was that he has size and strength. He was a violent hitter and tone setter. And if you remember, because of those reasons, I think people were thinking, well, in that draft, Seattle needed a safety. Could he be that kind of guy to come in and be your Cam Chancellor type, your box safety in the cover 3 system that Seattle was really running at the time? And that was much theorized. Instead, they went for the Marquise Blair route in that might have been the draft before. I am absolutely having a night.
Blair was the same year as DK, so 2019.
Blair was 2019, yeah, because Abram, of course, Blair went 47 overall, whereas Abram was back of the first round. He was a
24, I think, 26,
27, yeah. So, and I think Seattle actually traded down from that spot. So anyway, Abrams finally come back to the Seahawks, and that size and strength, the violent hits and the tone setting, that's what sort of made him a fit in Seattle in the first place. He also has obvious closing speed. He ran at the combine. He ran a 4.45 40 like at his size, which is pretty crazy. And he also had tenacious pursuit and a motor, and was really comfortable coming downhill in the box. Now, the issues at Mississippi State are what have continued into the league, where dangerous tackling form, where his head's getting involved, which obviously isn't how the Seahawks coach their guys to tackle. They coach shoulder contact. That's how everyone coaches now, really. Kind of a rugby style of tackling. They formed their own system and took it to USA football. And he also took over aggressive angles. He was just generally out of control, and he was a bit rough in coverage as well, sort of playing the receiver and getting in some dodgy defensive pass interference situations, which again, that has continued towards the league. He's been a dangerous kind of tackler. He's been an inconsistent tackler. He's made some hits which have been, penalized because they've been, illegal. They've been dangerous. And then also his coverage has been illegal because he's contacted guys, and his coverage hasn't been very good. So maybe he's someone who can make it work in Seattle, in the fact, they love him up a bit, the culture. But, and I think, he was a first round pick for a reason. He was considered like the best box safety in that draft class. I had some concerns. Those reservations have remained, but, could be the right fit. Definitely worth an addition given Seattle's need at the position.
Yeah, it's a solid flyer to take, especially at this point in the season. And if you need him to play, he at least has the experience of starting games, so that's fine. And hopefully Neal's injury doesn't keep him out too long. Plus, you have Josh Jones, so you can kind of stash Abram as well after you get past the point of needing him. So, maybe it's something that you can, like you said, they can love up on him a little bit. Figure out if they can fix some things with him, make some tweaks, and see what they got there. So it's a really interesting pickup, probably one that if it goes well, we'll see maybe the effects of more towards the end of this season or into next season. But we'll see if they need him this upcoming week. Hopefully not. Hopefully Neal's able to return, and I know that Pete kind of left that up in the air today, so we'll see on that. But it's an interesting gift for them.
Right, and he's still only 26, and so I think he will also benefit from the fact that Seattle's scheme we'll mainly ask him to be like a cover 4 quarters safety. So there's a bit less going on in terms of he's playing in like sort of tighter spaces. He can also come down and make a hit. And then they'll probably play him down a bit as well in the box in that kind of cover 3 style. So I think maybe just a simplification for him will help. But we'll see. He should also contribute on special teams if he's,
Yeah,
if
it's
he's
a good point.
You should look for that to show up. So
Yeah, it's a good point. All right, what else do we got?
well, Seattle also, we took a week off because of the bye week from our
Yep.
news segment. Please forgive us. And Seattle also signed Laquan Treadwell, who's been all around the league, the wide receiver. He actually, I think, played with DK Metcalf. I know they both went to Ole Miss. I think there's a bit of crossover there. He was a 2016 first-round pick out of Ole Miss. He's obviously considered bust because of how he's sort of bounced around the league, didn't work out in Minnesota. He's been with Atlanta, Jacksonville, New England, Arizona most recently, and now Seattle. And he's 27 years old now, 6'2", 216 pounds. Kind of an odd addition in that, like, you'd think that's kind of Derek Young's role. But with the Eskridge heading to IR with a broken hand, which he injured against Tampa Bay, that it was worse than they first feared. I have to say, like, sitting in the stands watching Eskridge run the football, he just doesn't take a hit well. He just runs into contact. He doesn't lower his pads. He just runs upright and just gets smacked around. It's like, wow. Like, you think about how Tyler Lockett takes a hit in terms of giving himself up. At least that, that's much better than this. And Eskridge just hurt again, which is unfortunate. But seems Treadwell's going to come in, obviously a very different type of player. He's going to come in and be that wide receiver 4 behind Marquise Goodwin. And hopefully Derek Young can challenge him. But to me, it's a bit, it's a bit unfortunate that Young hasn't quite earned, he hasn't quite earned the thing. And in terms of, you'd like him to be like an established 4, but he's not. So that's all right. And Pete Carroll spoke about Treadwell saying he's, very smart. He's been in lots of systems. He's picking it up really quickly. So that's good. He said he's going to play more as well. And he's going to be more involved. And he actually did play against the Raiders. He played, let me get the snap counts. I'm just bottling this right now. Yeah, so Derek Young only played 1 snap against the Raiders, but then 21 snaps on special teams. Treadwell played 7 snaps on offense against the Raiders and 2 snaps for special teams. So how that shakes out is something to monitor. The way that Young was used is mainly as a blocker, and Treadwell will be mainly used as a blocker too. You get that big frame out there. It's still a wide receiver body, so it's different to having a tight end split out wide. And there's different things you can do with your personnel, but that's that. So, Ty, are you familiar with Laquan?
I'm familiar with Laquan a little bit. He had a pretty good season in Jacksonville, filling in down there. I don't know, was that last year, year before?
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he had a pretty decent year. So I don't know, maybe he's figured out some things. Obviously not enough to get on an active roster this year. He was on the Seahawks practice squad before now, and so is he still on the practice squad? Did they add him to the active roster? No, because they used Eskridge's spot on Abram.
They did, so that's going to be interesting, because if Pete says he's going to play more, then they'll have to call him up, and then they'll have to get rid of someone, which maybe
they'll have to do that after the next elevation.
Right.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Maybe they're just getting their money's worth. Yeah, in Jacksonville, he started 7 games, played in 12. He had 434 receiving yards and 1 touchdown, which is all right. I mean, the problem in Minnesota was like a case of the drops, right? And he just didn't pan out. But also like his testing at the combine, 4.6, 3 seconds 40, and not very good jumps either. He just didn't test very well.
Yeah.
On tape. His production at Ole Miss was pretty good, but he just didn't test well, and then it obviously didn't translate to the league for whatever reason. But rinse and repeat with what I said about Pete Carroll and the culture. Like, you don't know, maybe he just needs loving up. Maybe he needs time. We'll see. But
yeah, I wouldn't expect much, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll see if they found something. We'll see, what the hands look like, and see if he's made any other improvements. But yeah, for now, I wouldn't put a whole lot into this.
So Ty, you promised me some injury discussion.
Yes. All right. So well, we already talked about Ryan Neal and all that, and that's really the biggie for the Seahawks, right? I'm not
The
missing
biggie.
anyone. No, not missing anyone else. That's
there's like 6 players that are ill. There's an illness thing going around.
That's
Obviously
concerning.
Abe Lucas was questionable and appeared on the injury report. Pete Carroll said he felt sick. Now today, like a dozen Seahawks are. Is 6 a dozen? 12 a dozen.
Half a dozen.
It's half a dozen.
It's half a
there
dozen.
we go. Do you guys have a baker's dozen?
Yes. Yeah, 13. Yeah.
Oh, it's 13.
Oh, what is it for you?
11.
11. Oh, I'm pretty sure it's 13 here, right?
Oh, right.
Or am I confused?
You might be confused, bro.
Folks, help us out in the chat.
You might be confused.
So on the Rams side, though, this team is depleted. Obviously, they're 3-8. They have the third pick right now in the draft. Or well, they don't have the third pick. The Lions have the third pick because that went over to them in the Stafford deal. And speaking of Stafford, he's not going to play in this game. Sean McVay today said in his press conference, and by the way, in the chat, it is Baker's dozen is 13. In the US,
but in England, the baker eats one. You see, Morgan knows. Morgan's smart.
There you go. All right. So we have our answer now. So yeah, Sean McVay in his press conference said today that Stafford, it's a safe bet pretty much that Stafford is not going to play in this game. He's obviously been dealing with concussion issues.
By the way, that is dodgy.
Yeah.
Do you see how they handled all that?
Yeah. It's another rough situation there with concussions and all that stuff. Yeah. That's a pretty big talking point for this whole season overall. So Bryce Perkins is probably going to get another start here for the Rams
because John Wolford's also out.
Yeah, John Wolford is also out. Who's their backup now?
Nemesis.
Yeah. So who's Perkins' backup now? Do you know? Quick Google search. All right. Well, while you're doing that,
I think they are also a running threat. I think they've sort of just embraced the full on running threat.
We're gonna go.
I don't think they. I don't know if they have one. Hold on. Practice squad.
Boy.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
please. No. Yes. It's Case Cookus.
Who?
Cookus.
Case Cookus? Oh, no, I know that.
Couscous is delicious. Cookus.
Yeah.
It's that guy. He was with Minnesota, right? He's kind of cooked up Seattle in the preseason.
Yeah. All right. Well, so maybe that's a thing. Who knows?
Let Case Cookus cook.
Let him couscous.
Bit of olive oil and raisins and whatever nice things you put.
Raisins.
Sultanas. I've had couscous with sultanas in it, and it was nice. And chickpeas.
All right. Yeah, chickpeas are good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what are you putting in your couscous?
Just not raisins.
What about sultanas?
Sure. Yeah. But not raisins.
Yeah. Okay. I misspoke. Okay. It happens.
All right. So check it. All right. Let's U-turn here. Let's revert back here.
Griffin's not here. U-turning. Griffin's not here to U-turn.
I am also.
I don't know what a U-turn is.
I'm the co-founder of the U-turn gang, so along with Mr. Spin Move, so I am one half of that representation here, and there will be U-turn representation on this show, no matter what. As long as one of us are on here, there will be U-turns. That is a guarantee.
I won't bow to peer pressure. Right, continue.
Let me talk about the injuries.
Okay.
So Stafford's out. Perkins is in.
Cookus is on the bench.
Cookus is on the bench. Tony Kukoc is on the bench. And then Aaron Donald is going to miss his first game ever due to injury. He's got an ankle thing, and he's already been ruled out, and that is the first time ever he's been ruled out due to injury, which is wild.
He every time just murders the Seahawks. Like they just can never handle him. He whatever they try, he's just always his best game. I mean, he's a great player, obviously.
Yeah,
his best game always seems to be against the Seahawks, and they're like, what are they now? 3-8.
They're 3-8. They're terrible.
That is crazy. And Donald with a high ankle sprain, week to week, but like it's a high ankle sprain. Like that's a bad injury. Like I know he's Aaron Donald, and he's like literally a superhuman, but like.
But I mean, you're 3-8 at this point. You should probably start thinking about shutting him down for the whole year. Same thing with Cooper Kupp, who's like supposed to return.
Retire again.
Maybe.
Yeah, so that's the other big loss, right? Cooper Kupp, who obviously, again, Seattle's had their issues defending him. That would have been a really tough matchup for Kobe Bryant in the slot in playing nickel. Kupp is out with a...
I think it's also an ankle, right?
It is, isn't it? It looked really bad on the replay.
Yeah,
it looked like he might have broke something, but I think it's just a really bad ankle. He had surgery, right?
Yeah, he had surgery. So he's out for the next few weeks. They didn't rule him out for the season, but
right.
I mean, again, you're 3-8. You should probably start thinking about shutting him down for the year because, like, you're not going to accomplish anything. So what's the point? And then Allen Robinson. Griffin's boy. Yeah. So he's done for the year. He's already been ruled out for the year. I don't know what he injured, but I guess he got hurt during their last game. And so he's done for the season. So their number one receiver right now is Ben Skoranek, and
who I've done an underdog fantasy video on.
Ooh,
do you want to know the sell for that?
Yeah.
Sean McVay has done it again. He has evolved to stay ahead of NFL defenses, and the Rams don't even need Odell Beckham Jr. at the moment because they've evolved and they're going to stay ahead of everyone. That was week 2, I think. Spicy.
Be careful though. It's spicy. Wait, we're not there yet.
The issue with that take, no, we're not there yet. Skoranek, they were using him as a fullback, and it looked kind of cool, but then they like stopped doing it as much. I guess because teams stopped respecting the run. And then I don't know. I feel like McVay should have done it more, and then they all got injured, and they can't run the ball. Even though we were like assured that at the start of the season, they're going to run it much better this year. They've got the chemistry, and it's going to be marvelous. And Stafford won't be dropping back blocks in empty formations. They'll just run the football. But no, that has not happened. And honestly, the Rams have had such good injury luck the past few years that now this is like, it's almost like all of that good luck coming to a head. They're paying their dues now. This is a brutal situation, and
it
just
feels like a long time coming, right?
Right. I mean, what goes around comes around. Like that, it's unfortunate for them, and I wonder. Not every year, but the past few off seasons, there's been rumblings about Sean McVay wanting to retire young, wanting a TV deal. Probably going to earn gazillions working for one of the big networks.
Yeah,
I wonder if actually having a losing season makes him, Aaron Donald, who, as I said, there was retirement rumors with him as well. I wonder if they want to come back and run it back and actually, go out winning, like not having a losing season. I mean, 3-8 is not. Seattle can condemn them to a losing season.
Yeah, they could. That's crazy.
Because by my mathematics, Ty, 9 is over half of 17.
It is.
Let's go. Let's go. Nailed it.
Let's go.
YouTube. Bam.
Let's go. Live maths.
That was a lot.
Live maths here on the Seattle Overload podcast.
You.
Yeah, exactly. Maths you. Yep. So Ben Skoranek, Van Jefferson, Tutu Atwell. That's a receiving core right now. Their offensive line is ass.
Skoranek sounds like a strain.
Yeah. Puffing on that Skoranek. Oh, we were talking about 2 different strains. Yeah. but we're
Oh, what you were thinking? Like, oh, he's really hurt his scleronic. It's
yeah,
a
he
real
really hurt
severe.
his yeah, he really hurt his scleronic.
Oh,
So that's the run game sucks. Their offensive line sucks. Their receiving core is depleted. Their quarterback, they're on their third quarterback now. Their defense doesn't have Aaron Donald. Unfortunately, Bobby looks pretty washed, and Jalen Ramsey's been getting cooked lately. So, in terms of like the big names on this team, you should be in a pretty good spot to win this game, I would think. And we'll talk about it more tomorrow on the tape pod, of course, and
yes.
look at how everything's lining up that way.
My
But
31-7 score prediction will come in. Yeah.
honestly, I might take you up on that one because
Well,
even
Griff
with
tried it. Griff tried it last week. It's his
No,
fault.
Griff, no, buddy, no. Yeah, so I'm not going to hop on that train with you then. I'm going to go with a normal score prediction, one that I will reveal on tomorrow's episode of the Seattle Overload podcast. Dun, dun, dun. So you should tune in for that.
Wow.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's pretty much it in terms of the Rams injury front. So things looking pretty nice for the Seahawks there. I mean, injuries suck at the end of the day. We don't wish injuries upon anyone. Disclaimer. But it does help the Seahawks. So yeah, in a pretty big way. So hopefully they're able to get back on track.
If they lose that game, like
it's
just not meant to be.
I'm probably not showing up for the post game show.
Yeah, we'll just cancel it. It's not meant to be.
We're canceling the post game show if that happens. Like,
it's a big opportunity as well, right? Because they can move to 8-5,
7-5,
7-5. Wow, they're 6-5.
They're 6-5. Yeah,
that's grim. That
looks
grim.
Yeah, it looks a lot worse than 6-3.
Yeah. Oh dear.
I was such a hopeful boy back then. 3 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago.
I met Pete Carroll, and then they
haven't won. They haven't won since. Oh fuck!
Now I'm not saying it's my fault, but if you want to scapegoat me, you can. Everyone copes in different ways.
It's the Matty curse, guys. The Matty curse is alive and well.
Ooh.
There used to be the Madden curse, but now it's the Matty curse.
I planted the bear seed among the coaching staff, and it's caused like a complete defensive meltdown where like Pete's saying, we need to run more bear.
Pete was like,
I will run quarter, half.
Pete was like, oh my God, this little British boy has me figured out. We have to change everything. We have to change everything.
The little British boy. Okay. Right, so
instead of while we all thought that he was like really happy to see you, where he's like, "Hey, Maddie, what's up, man?" In the back of his head, he was actually like, "Oh shit."
I thought I'd got over this. Shit. I haven't slept. Okay, so Pete actually spoke about the Raiders game in his Seattle Sports appearance on the Monday in the Pete Carroll show with Brock and Salk.
Oh yeah.
Then in his press conference, then in his Wednesday press conference, and Clint Hurt spoke about it, and so did Cody Barton. And as we do on here, I'll just pass for you some of the things that Pete was saying. He said that the Raiders had a totally different style of attack and they didn't handle it. And they tried to understanding what happened against Tampa. We tried to come back with our stuff to fix it, and we didn't get it done. So when he says stuff to fix it, that was him saying they tried to run more of the bare fronts again. Obviously, Brian Mone was active in this game where he's inactive in Munich, and obviously it didn't quite work. And then he mentioned about schematically committing more, possibly. And he was asked if that meant bringing more DBs down to the line of scrimmage. And he said, yeah, some of that, but he didn't mean all of that. And he later clarified that. And then, so I think we will see a bit more cover 3 and sort of middle field closed, heavier boxes until they prove that they can do it. And then the big issue was 2-back kind of lead plays, like the 86-yarder was an ISO run where Clint Hurt brought up that the outside linebacker, which was, I think, Uchenna Nwosu on the play, and then the corner, which was Mike Jackson, they didn't play the run right. We think, and we'll talk about it in the film podcast tomorrow, we think also Brooks took it on a bit thick when he was spilling the ball out to them guys. And then Pete straight up said, like, the safeties have to make the tackle still. And Josh Jones, as we've mentioned earlier, he did take a really poor angle to that ball. And Diggs kind of like was slow pulling his trigger. Yeah, he got crackbacked. And yeah, Mike Jackson needed to replace him. But also Diggs kind of was a bit slow. And so Clint Hurt also doubled down on that as well and said, like, look, when you're in too high defense, you should never be giving up an 86-yard touchdown. Like, okay, you give up like a 15-yard run, but you got two safeties back there, so one of them can go and make the tackle. So
now,
anyway.
Matty, that's all swell. But when are you going to talk about how awful Cody Barton is? He's the worst linebacker I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's funny actually, because I mean, I thought he played well, but also so did Pete Carroll and Clint Hurt. I don't hear it from me and Ty. I hear it from Pete Carroll and Clint Hurt. They said he's had his best 2 weeks, and he played. He said how he'd been working on playing more aggressive downhill, and I think that's shown up. I think he's sort of starting to learn when he can take his shots in the system, and play aggressively downhill. And he had some beautiful spilling of blocks as designed. But honestly, I think he's become the scapegoat of the defense, much like Jamal Adams was the year previous. People will see what they want to see with that. But, you know, I'll try and stay objective, and we'll have a tape review out tomorrow where we'll talk about things. But Barton was pretty much flawless. There was maybe like a few coverage busts where you could, you know, it's hard to pass who's at fault because there's communications going on. I happen to think it was Neil, but we'll talk about that tomorrow.
All right. Is it time?
Yes. It is time. So, Ty, the Seahawks are 6-5, as I've been informed by my producer. That's
me.
The Seahawks are 6-5, and yet, Ty, they have a top 5 draft pick.
Man, the league must be really good this year. That's like unheard of.
More information
that I'm typing to you right now, and it's being transported into your ears somehow.
Yes, so the Denver Broncos are 3-8.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. They are. That is fact. That is fact. Yeah.
Since we last spoke to you guys on this news show, the Broncos have played 2 games and they've lost 2 games.
Yep. They have. Yep. And I have watched both games, by the way.
What?
In full.
No.
In full.
Why? Are you okay?
I'm definitely not a hater. I just want to make that part clear.
Yeah, because that is quite toxic.
Yeah, I wouldn't be toxic. I'm not a hater. You know, I'm very curious to see one of the most interesting teams in the NFL this year, and that is the Denver Broncos. I mean, they have a great defense. You know, that's what I'm mostly watching for, of course, right? Best defense in the league, at least, you know, top 3 unit in the entire NFL.
Well,
they're a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun to watch. Well, yeah, they did. Lately, though, not as great. They gave up some points to Sam Darnold and the Panthers. They gave up some points to the Raiders, but hey, you know, Matty, so did the Seahawks. In fact, the Seahawks gave up like 19 more points than the Broncos did to the Raiders, but we won't talk about that. But you know, that's mostly why I'm watching, right? You know, just to respect some good defense, you know, and that's about it. You know, unfortunately, on the other side of the ball, that part is like completely unwatchable right now. But you know, I'm watching, you know, doing my due diligence, not being toxic whatsoever. Just, you know, I wouldn't be a real football fan if I didn't watch the whole game, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm respecting it, even though it's really bad. I'm respecting it, and I'm totally not having a good time, totally not laughing my ass off whatsoever,
No,
totally not pointing and giggling. None of that. Just watching,
no.
observing, and yeah.
So they'd be 9-2 if they'd scored at least 18 points on offense.
God, they're really bad.
And the big thing about these last 2 weeks, I mean, we know that the offense is a complete mess. But a big thing about these last 2 weeks is the defense, I think, has finally had enough.
Mm-hmm.
That Raiders game, the defense was lights out again. And then they just melted down. Like, they got worked by the Raiders. Sertan got on a good concept. McDaniel saved like his best 2 plays to get them. But like they just completely bottled that. And then the Panthers game, the defense wasn't recognizable from the the first few weeks, first half of the season defense, really. I think they've had enough.
Yeah, particularly the run defense. Run defense was not good. They had quite a few busts there with Foreman. So yeah, it's starting to fall apart, and you're seeing the defense is I mean, it's just out there now. It's worn thin on them having to try and carry that team. Mike Purcell, I think, made it pretty clear to not just Russell Wilson, but the entire audience watching and those that have seen it on Twitter that that locker room is fed up with what's going on with the Denver offense. And I mean, I can't blame them, right? Because it was truly awful on Sunday against the Panthers. And this is a Panthers team that is obviously playing a little bit better as of late. They gave the Ravens offense quite a few problems the week before as well. And Maddie, you and I were talking about it, and we think that maybe they'll give the Seahawks a little bit of an issue as well next week. But there's no excuse for what this offense was doing. I think Russ, I forget how many completions that he had, but he only had like 72 yards through the first half. They were not moving the ball downfield at all, and he was really out of whack downfield as well. It was really unlike him. A lot of balls that were just way off down the field.
His completion percentage on the season is 58.9%.
Jeez, yeah.
His quarterback rating in the red zone is 6.3. 6.3. Yeah. I mean, he needs a reset, which I don't know if you get that. I don't know how you get that. I'm glad that's not my thing.
Yeah.
Seattle is, of course, currently projected to pick 4th overall. The Rams are also 3-8. They're just ahead of Seattle. Their pick actually goes to the Lions.
Yep.
Their strategy of trading their first-round picks might be the year that doesn't work out. Yep. The Broncos 14.3 points per game is the worst in the NFL since 2000.
Yeah, like it's historically bad now. Like that's the point that we're getting to. He's thrown like 1 touchdown in the last 4 weeks, something like that. Like
Wilson's passing touchdowns per attempt is 33rd amongst 35 qualified quarterbacks.
Yeah, like he's at like 8 touchdowns, 5 interceptions right now, I think. And we're in the final 5 weeks of the season now. So yeah, it's just like it's almost, like taking my Seahawk fandom out of it for a second. Like it's sad. It's like legitimately sad. And even, just going back to, being the Russell Wilson fan that I am at the end of the day, and thankful for all the stuff that he did accomplish here in Seattle. Like it's sad to see his career go this way. It sucks. It really does. Like I'm at the point now, like obviously I'm still enjoying it, right? Because like he asked for this and I still feel spurned and I feel, bitter and all that stuff. I'll get more over it, once there isn't, there aren't draft picks involved. But, aside from that, like it legitimately like sucks to see how this thing is going now for him. Like he's like, we saw the signs that this was he was probably regressing, that, there's only one way that you can build an offense around him, and that his physical abilities are declining, and so that takes away from some of the things that made him special early on in his career. But I didn't think it was going to be this bad. I didn't think it was going to be historically bad. Like, and I know,
Yeah.
we've talked about, like, you guys, especially you and Griff, have talked about how the regressions and just the reality of Russ and what he's able to do and what he's not able to do. But I don't think you could have expected this either, right?
No. And obviously we're not behind the scenes, but and I don't know how their offense is constructed. But like the two back stuff they ran in week 1 against Seattle, and obviously Seattle's had their issues defending two back, and they did against Denver too in that opener. But that looked good,
Mhm.
and then getting Russ out of the pocket on the boot stuff. But like the
Yeah.
schematic direction of defenses has evolved to generally be stopping the boot and play actions like concepts out of those kind of looks. And it's evolved to stop the kind of sideline go balls and remove the obvious one-on-ones that used to be presented by single high coverage. And so I think you have to run the ball a bit more. But then why I mentioned like behind the scenes is like, is Russ on board with that? How much of a say is he having in this current offense? Is he
Mhm.
just running what he wants to run? Is he willing to kind of accept that, we might need to probably change our approach here? If they fire Hackett, and I guess that's the only move they can do in terms of changing things up, because Russ is on what, a $240 million contract. If they cut him after
Yeah.
2023, there's still a heck of a lot of dead money. There's not quite as much. Like I think it's $35 million and then 50 million, or maybe it's the other way around. Like, I mean,
I can do a quick research
yeah.
into that.
Uh, but it is just crazy. I mean, I again, like in 2020, that back half of 2020, you saw the signs. 2021, you saw the signs. Is this worse than you probably could have thought? I mean, this is probably like like, yeah, it is pretty bad.
Mhm.
And I think it's not helped by like, Hackett has made some weird decisions. They've lost games where I think if the coach is more experienced, I mean, Hackett is a first time OC. Like it was his first time calling plays and his first time being a head coach. Like it's
Yeah.
a double whammy. Obviously, he's handed on the play calling stuff now, but like it still looks very similar to the offense they were running in Seattle with Russ. It's just they don't gun run as much as they probably should. When they have gun run, this looked a bit better, but like ultimately over the season, Russ has a current touchdown percentage of 2.3%, which since the 1970 merger, there's only been 8 quarterback seasons with a touchdown percentage lower than that.
Mhm.
And that would include David Carr's rookie season, Trent
Jeez.
Dilfer's rookie season. Like it's bad.
Ooh.
But it is sad, and also, I some of the there's receipts out there, but anyway.
Yeah.
Um,
There are receipts,
and
but
as I've
of course,
said,
we wouldn't want to be toxic now,
no,
Maddie.
and as I've said, like I do think like this should be as bad as it gets, but I think it does require the recognition from everyone of, okay, we need to change how we're approaching this. And
Yeah.
I don't know if that happens. Obviously, again, the caveat is I don't know what is happening in Denver in terms of the discussions on their team, between coach and players. But like the structure of the offense has to be more of that kind of point guard, more of a kind of run, balance, and yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, it's it's really funny how just kind of the narratives have already been destroyed, obliterated, foobarred, if you will, within a matter of weeks.
And
It's
Tom Pelissero yesterday reported on the NFL networks, the insiders, that Russ has lost some people around that team. He has lost some people in that locker room.
yeah, and only half the team showed up to its birthday party, Maddie.
Yeah, well, that's a ridiculous story, isn't it?
That's such
That's
a
quite a lot
yeah.
of people.
Yeah, that's a lot of people still.
That's 53 divided by 2. That is
And I mean, is there like staff that
27.5.
was there too? Like,
Well, that would be the big bombshell if like Clint Kubiak was there, but Hackett like wasn't invited.
ooh, oof,
Juicy.
juicy. So by the way, so next year the dead money would be. This is all post June 1, by the way.
Mm.
39
Oh right,
million.
yeah. Wait it
thir-
out.
39 million next year.
Mm-hmm.
35.4 the year after that. 18.4 the year after that. 18.4 again in 2026. 8.4 in 2027, then 4.4 in 2028. So
So it is like 35 and then like 50
yeah,
over the
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, just about pretty much. So
Yeah. So I mean that's a lot to do, but then but the thing is Hackett will get fired and then they'll hire an offensive guy. I saw someone suggesting maybe Frank Reich. Like I know he'd be wanting another shot. He's considered an offensive guy. He'd probably go mad at trying to run pass options with Russ, given like I believe my understanding Russ didn't like the idea of an RPO, and a core principle of Reich's offense is the RPO.
yeah, it's probably going to be shoddy.
Well, yes, except
Or maybe it's
there is
Evero. Maybe it's Evero and he hires a baller OC, right? Like maybe that's what it
well
is.
Evero should get a shot at being a head coach, but there is some conflicting information around
Mm,
the Shotty Russ relationship,
yeah,
which we've got into. Anyway,
yeah,
good news for the Seahawks. They this is the other thing, right? It's not just the number 4 overall pick in the 2023 NFL draft.
yeah. It's
It's
also
the
the 36.
36th.
Yeah, yeah. There's 36 pick. Yeah,
Um, and then
and then
is
we're
there
done.
bad next year?
No. We're done. We're done after that. All the picks
No,
are done. Yeah,
no.
there's
They
no
must
20.
have more. There must
No,
be more.
no. There's no 2024 pick. I'm sorry, buddy.
Oh,
It was only 2022 and 2023 picks.
oh.
Sorry, pal.
But
Sorry.
but they're bad. There must be more.
That's it. I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you, but there are no more after next year. So you better make these picks count. Will Anderson Jr., Jalen Carter, you are a Seattle Seahawk.
That'd be nice.
Hopefully.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, shoot, if the Seahawks fall off, hopefully not, but if they fall off here over the next few weeks, maybe they'll have 2 top 10 picks or 2 top 15 picks, which that won't be fun for us to talk about over the next few weeks, but that might be fun for us to talk about in March and April. So,
Yes.
but I would prefer not. I would prefer that
I'm
the Broncos
sure.
keep losing and the Seahawks start winning again.
I think I saw somewhere that there's a 90% chance that the Broncos will now be picking in the top 10.
Mm,
And I think there's a 4% chance that Seattle gets the number 1 overall pick, which is nuts.
yeah, it's pretty wild. We need the
Yeah.
Texans to start winning, though, and the Bears.
Yes, I have a
Now,
feeling there maybe
Maddie, would you let the Rams beat you this week so you can get them past the Broncos in the draft order?
some people are that
Yeah.
that into the draft anyway.
Yeah.
Oh no, hopefully they beat the Rams. And before that, we will be back tomorrow, Griff, I, and you, Ty, reviewing the film from the Raiders shenanigans. And then we will preview that Rams game in a bit more detail than we have tonight. Probably the same amount of detail, but with Griff's input and a score prediction. And then we'll be back on Sunday with a live recap if the Seahawks win. No, we're contractually obliged. I don't actually think we are, but we'll turn up. We're professional podcasters.
Yeah.
What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
We'll be back for that as well. Thank you everyone for tuning in live. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment. That really does help us. If you're watching on Twitter, retweet it. And please also, if you're listening, download, 5-star review, subscribe. Ty, do you have any work to plug?
Yeah, check out the Locked On Mariners podcast if you're a Mariners fan. It's on YouTube.
Oh, is it?
It's on
Is it
all
the base
the podcast
again?
platforms. Yeah. Well, it's off season. It's off season. We're doing off season stuff. Yeah.
What happens?
That can be entertaining.
No,
Well, Matthew,
I'm sure it is, but what happens?
There's this thing that happens every off season. You wouldn't be familiar with it from other sports, but
No.
there's this thing called free agency. Players, their contracts expire, and then they have to sign new contracts with. They can either sign a contract with their current team or a new team.
What about arbitration?
There is arbitration. If you're on a rookie contract in Major League Baseball, once you get to your fourth season, you start to enter arbitration, and then you have 3 years of arbitration. Then there's also the Super 2 system. We can talk all about that. And then no, so you don't want to talk about service. You don't want to talk about service time.
It's 4 a.m.
You don't want to talk about service time at 4 a.m.
No.
What about service time manipulation? I know you guys have time to talk about service time manipulation, right? And why that's a bad thing, and why they made changes in the new collective bargaining agreement to avoid service time manipulation. No one wants to hear about that? No? You just want us to fuck off? All right. Bye then. Love you.